appears that Tom is taking a mulligan, as Steve has his hand laid out and Tom is shuffling.
Something that the Blue-White Heroic deck does do a decent amount of the time. It will mulligan a little bit. I don't think the deck mulligan's all that great. It's kind of a combo deck in Standard, not quite just a Heroic combo, but we'll see if he can find 6 that he likes.
Around the room, some of you have already interacted.
Looks like he might have a 1-lander, potentially 2, but it's a Plains, it's a favorite hoplite, and we are underway here. Our semifinals of our Standard Open here from Columbus. Sunset Citadel there for Rubin will be his first land.
And fortunately for Tom, I think the matchup is good enough for him that he mulligans into lands and spells. He's still got a good shot, but if anything, his hand looks a little land heavy right now. I think he has a Temple, a Plains, a Defiant Strike, and a Seeker of the Way as his leftovers here. So not that impressive of a hand.
There's an island. Ross down to 19 from the Flooded Strand.
You all should have signed the waiver on the back already. If you haven't done so, please do so now. On the front,
there's an attack for 1 to Seeker of the Way. Rubin down to 19, and we will go back Steve's way. Steve will draw a card. Does have a Thoughtseize in his hand. There is a Thoughtseize. See Ross's hand. You mentioned it. Defiant Strike's going to bite the dust. Plains and Temple of Enlightenment are what's left over. So we'll see if Ross can put together some nice draw steps here.
I'm going to give you guys.
He's got a couple good ones.
To go over the deck list.
Heliod's Pilgrim, Ordeal of Thassa.
Cards, minimum registered in your main deck.
But he's got to find him soon.
Temple of Malady, the play here for Rubin. Take a look at the top, put it to the bottom, pass it over to Ross. Ross will draw a card. Looks like it was another land, so there's a Temple. Take a look at the top. Leaves it on top relatively quickly.
If you are in the room, I need you to wave your hands in the air. Let me know that you are in the room, or you will be removed from the tournament.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it to the bottom now. Here's an attack for 3. Rubin going to go down to 14. So the beatdown's a little early. Let's see if Rubin has something to do on his 3rd turn of the game.
But I like Tom giving a moment there to contemplate the scry, even though if he knew what he was doing, because it just makes it appear like he drew a creature enchantment that turn.
Kenta, okay, thank you.
Another land.
Brian Dixon, thank
you. This is where Tom's game is so good now because, he has just lands in his hand, but he's trying to make it seem as though he's got some real tough decisions to make.
Exactly. Every little piece of edge or value he can get, he's going to take.
Rubin going to untap. Time to draw. Hero's Downfall is what he's found. There's an untapped land. This is Siege Rhino. He's back up to 14. That's the roadblock.
All right, judges, at this time, if you want to make your way through the aisles, collecting the deck list, players, please
back to Ross will go.
Hand them to the judge.
Drawing a card. Temple. Top card.
Today's
Bottom shelf.
Guys, is going to be 0 minutes and 10 minutes, which means if you are not in your seat,
Ordeal of Heliod was Ross's draw.
Please don't let this happen to you. It's unfortunate.
Not a lot to be done with that yet. Unless Tom is going to make some sort of very bold bluff this turn, but I think with Steve having so many cards in hand, he's going to call no matter what to just try to get whatever trick is out of Tom's hand. Tom makes a similar assessment and is just going to wait.
Temple of Silence, the land here for Rubin. Top card goes to the bottom very quickly. And Siege Rhino is feeling confident. It's coming into the red zone. Ross is going to go down to 12. And Rubin does have a backup Rhino, so he will deploy that. Rubin back up to 17, Ross down to 9, and now it is Ross who is on the back foot. He will draw a card. Favorite hoplite, I believe, is what he's found. Not the best of draws in this situation.
This is the issue with playing decks like this, is sometimes you draw these cards.
Yeah. This can't happen. So here's an attack. There's another favorite hoplite, pass the turn back. Rubin will draw. Stands up Citadel is what he's found. Like a very quick block there by Steve with the Siege Rhino. Not scared, no favorite hoplite.
Well, the attack is a freebie from Tom.
Yeah.
Also, if he knows Tom's resume, he knows there's a good chance that there's just nothing going on in his hand.
There's Hero's Downfall. Clear that out of the way. Temple of Malady, take a look at the top. That one's going to the bottom. That's attack step time. In for 8, Ross down to 1. Steve basically saying, what's the worst that can happen? There's not very much. There's a singing bell strike. Hi-ya! Prowess
Gain
on the
some life.
Hey, Prowess on the Seeker. Come and get you. Rubin gonna untap. Draw a card. Pay the 6. Untap this. Beat you down. That'll do it. Steve Rubin's going to win game number 1 here over Tom Ross, Star City Games Standard Open champion. We were in DC earlier this year, up a game over the 2-time invitational champion, as we will head back to the booth. Trivia time. He's got your question. Rules are simple. Hashtag SCG Premium on Twitter. Make sure you're following at SCG Live this month. Trivia question is for 6 months of Star City Games Premium. Don't make it too tough.
I'm
That's
actually
all we
I'm
ask.
gonna step it up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna step it up because the first question we asked there was
It was laughable.
laughable.
I'm okay with it because it was the first one. It was easy and it's a little early.
And I think this is valuable because also I want this information out there.
Okay.
So it's good to have.
Now, of course, we will announce the winner at the conclusion of the round. Can't forget that. And all of our contests and giveaways here at Star City Games and SCG Live with the sole discretion of Star City Games. No way affiliated with Twitch.tv, though we do thank them for allowing us to broadcast on their fantastic network. I'm hoping I can get this question right.
Okay, so there is a website that Star City Games has for the Grand Prix that it runs, in case you're ever looking for more information like location, formats, artists, the whole shebang. So what is the name of that website? I'm not looking for StarCityGames.com. That is not the answer to this question. There's a specific website that Star City Games has for information pertaining to its Grand Prix. Name that website.
It's a good question.
I want the information out there because it's a valuable resource, and I go to it all the time for information.
This is a really good question. He's really good at this. Hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live, and we'll announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round. As we do head back to the match, we will take a look at the sideboards here. Ross down a game again, but you do see the options. As we saw last round, he's got the Pilgrim, the Laguna Bonds. He's got Seeker of the Way, an Aqueous Form, an Ordeal of Heliod, 2 Ajani's Presence, 2 Erase, 3 Stubborn Isles, and 2 Treasure Cruise.
So I think we're going to probably see the Johnny's Presences come in as their answers to a lot of the spot removal spells. I think the 2 Treasure Cruises will be coming in as well, as this is sort of an attrition-based matchup. I think there's a good chance that we see the 4th Heliod's Pilgrim and the 2nd copy of Aqueous Form come in because Steve's deck's very good at blocking. And I think that will do it. But, you know, as we mentioned a lot of times here, Tom's deck gives him a lot of flexibility for sideboarding. So I'm not exactly sure how he wants to approach it. The Stubborn Denials are good against some elements of Steve's deck, not very good against others. I think there's a good chance they come in. But there's a lot of cards that feel like positive additions, and there's only so much room.
3 Vile Blight, Erase, Murderous Cut, and Unravel the Aether, Liliana Vest, 2 Missile World Wakers, 3 Drowning Charles, 2 Dune Blast. We saw how good that was for him against Todd Anderson yesterday in the Glare of Heresy.
So the Glare of Heresy is excellent here. The Murderous Cut and the Bile Blights, very, very good. I think Erase and Unravel the Aether are okay, but he can definitely have too much of that kind of effect. I don't know if he wants 2 copies, but I think at least 1 is reasonable. And Doom Blast is the big question mark, because I think this card is more for mid-range matchups, especially when you're playing against a deck that's sideboarding in Stubborn Denial and is very fast. I am suspicious of Doom Blast. If it was something like End Hostilities, no brainer. I'd bring it in here with no hesitation. But I think Doom Blast may be just too much mana for this matchup, but we'll see.
Quick update for you guys on our other match. Andy Ferguson is dealing right now, up a game here over Ben Steiner. Can't stop, won't stop. He's found something with his Mardu aggro deck, actually. Slanted more towards the aggressive side than the mid-range side of things. Why lose when you could win? That's what I say. Give the beats.
Yep.
Legacy players, your pairings for round number 1.
Bloodsoaked champion making a breakout performance this weekend. Looking good.
It's nice, too, because I think I bought high on those things on Magic Online.
Smart.
Like set release.
Very smart. Gonna recoup that value.
That's sunk in so many different directions.
Yeah, you'll be fine. So much time.
I mean, there is the money spent on the Bloodstone Champions, insignificant in the scheme of things.
Sure.
There is my time spent playing.
Insignificant.
Not insignificant in the scheme of things.
Completely insignificant.
There was the tickets incinerated. Not insignificant in the scheme of things.
That's
Definitely more than the playset of Bloodstone Champions, that's for sure. But hopefully, you know, Andy can do me a solid here, help me recoup a little bit of it.
Let's see what he can do. He's having one heck of a tournament. Number 1 overall seed. Been crushing folks when we've watched him play. And Bloodstone Champion has been very, very impressive as well.
I could not contain my excitement for this deck when I saw the list the first time. It felt like a breakthrough.
Yeah, it's just so much. It's so different than anything we've seen, but it has looked nice. So there's that.
Especially with the heavy burn element too. You know, he's not messing around with things like Chain the Rocks. His removal spells are Lightning Strikes, Magma Jets, and Stoke the Flames. And that makes so much sense once you're playing with Bloodsoak Champion, because you're going to get in these little hits, and then your removal spells are flexible and can also kill the opponent. Chain of the Rock has also felt pretty ambitious to me in these 3-color decks without that many mountains.
I mean, it is ambitious, and a race is starting to pick up in popularity, so I think you have to move away from that card. People are, you know, considering actually starting in a race, which means they've got it probably 2 or 3 copies out there 75, so your Chain of the Rocks are not safe.
And I think the same thing is happening to Banishing Light as well. Feels like it's down in representation.
Yep. Powerful cards to be sure, but we're also working in an enchantment block. You know, you've got Constellation decks and, of course, your Crucifix and all that jazz, so main deck erases or, you know, main deck Reclamation Sages and all that stuff, not too surprising.
You pick it up incidentally, you know, you play against Herald of Torment decks, you play against various gods or equipments, or their weapons rather. You play against Eidolon of the Great Revel. You know, it's just, they're scattered all over the place.
Yeah.
Very hard to find matches for your main deck erase is not going to have a target.
See if Ross is able to find a hand that he likes. He's sending it back. Rubin will take a look at his. And I do think part of the reason that Ross selected this deck for this weekend is to beat up on decks like Abzan midrange. He wasn't able to do it that last game.
Well, back-to-back mulligans not helping matters.
Yeah. See Murderous Cut in Steve's hand. He's got a couple of Scrylands, Courser as well. Hand looks a little slow out of the gate.
Yeah, it looks like Courser, Murderous Cut, 5 lands. I feel like this hand's not a mulligan, but Steve is not thrilled. I think he would have to consider a mulligan here if Tom kept 7. This feels like right on the fence of a keepable hand against Tom's 7 cards.
We'll see what the boss can find with his 6-card hand here.
Legacy players, welcome to round number 1. We will have 9 rounds of Swiss today.
Looks a little better. Yep. Actually, looks a lot better.
White mana, blue mana,
Yeah.
and some stuff to do.
Favorite hot
You
play.
have 15
Very
minutes
fast
for
keep for
each of
Tom.
these Swiss rounds. You may begin.
Rubin going
Round
to play
5.
Temple. Take a look at the top card. Consult the grip. That card's going to the bottom. We're going to head back Ross's way. Tom will draw. Copy of Heliod's Pilgrim. Card that he likes a lot in this deck and in this format. Called it the standard Stoneforge Mystic, which is high praise, to say the least.
A bit of hyperbole, most likely.
Are you sure?
Well, the power level, the difference in power level of searching up Batterskull and searching up Aqueous Form is pretty different to me.
Depends,
So
on the
I'm not-
context, depends on the context of the format, my friend.
Yeah, I guess it is context driven to some extent, but
Time going to search up an island. Does have Aqueous Form right now, so that's going to come in. Trigger. Beat down. Scry.
see if that was a Batterskull, it would still be stuck in Tom's hand because it's turn 2. So
Correct.
who's to say?
Top card going to go to the bottom. This is a Defiant Strike. A little bigger. Draw a card. He's just looking for a 3rd land for those 2 Pilgrims he has in his hand.
Also looking to get his Hoplite out of Bioblight range.
Sure.
So now at 4 toughness, it's a little bit harder for Steve to kill.
And immediately Rubin is put under the gun. Rubin has a lot of lands that come into play tapped. There's another one of them. Ross will draw. Didn't find the 3rd land. Found our Dual Thassa though. That's not so bad.
That'll play.
Bingo. Attacking triggers. Scry first. Looks like he's going to keep it. Now he will peel 2. Flooded Strand among the cards he's found, which is important because that's land at number 3. That'll let him cast his other copy of Favorite Hoplite.
And this is fascinating to watch because, again, with the creature land enchantment strategy, Tom is pretty close to being able to cast Treasure Cruise if he's able to find it.
Yeah. There's the Hoplite. We're sending it back Steve Rubin's way now. He'll untap that Sandstep Citadel. It's time to draw a card. Windswept Teeth is what he found. But he is behind already.
See why Tom likes this deck against grain decks, you
Yeah,
know?
no kidding.
This is a mulligan from Tom. And Steve is still not out of the gates. How much money do you think Tom's made in the last year off of people playing lands that come into play tapped?
An amount that is ridiculous to even try to count. Oh, a temple, huh? That's pretty good.
Yep, keep setting up your draws, buddy. You're not going to get too many of them.
Time to get untap. Time to draw a card. Plains is what he's found. Does have an Ordeal of Thassa as well. Doesn't have to be worried about too much here, though. You know, Bile-Blight is obviously a card that exists. Right? Doesn't have to worry about a card like Murderous Cut in this instance.
The big card he had to fade last turn was Steve's one sideboard copy of Glare of Heresy. Now that that's not happening, Tom's probably in the clear.
There's a land. There's the Pilgrim. Time to search. Very Stoneforge Mystic-esque.
There are some parallels. Tom is searching his deck for a particular card type, so.
Stoneforge Mystic could find Nurok Hover Sail. Tom will find a Stratus Walk. They're basically the same card.
Isn't there an equipment that lets you scry?
Well, they do exist, yes.
Yeah, so you know, Witch's Eyeball,
Bang.
Stoneforge for Witch's Eyeball, comparable to Heliod's Pilgrim for.
Aqua's form.
It's the same thing.
There's Bile-Blight. I'd also make the power on the favorite Hoplite that's in play that's a little larger, a little smaller, too. I suppose if you're really feeling frisky, you could search up a Kite Sail with the Stoneforge Mystic.
And really no limit to the things you can get with both cards. Limited only by your imagination.
Very true. Little math here. Rubin does have a copy of Siege Rhino in hand. Very powerful magic card. There that is. He's up to 12. Ross will draw a copy of Treasure Cruise.
5 in the graveyard right now.
Yeah.
I think Tom has better things to do with his mana this turn. But he can Ancestral when he's feeling it.
There's an Ordeal. Trigger Heroic. Beat downs. Trigger. He's going to resolve the Scryed Aquasis form first, then he will resolve the Ordeal of Thassa trigger. 2 cards coming for the boss. Happy enough with what he's found. There's a Tranquil Cove. Any follow-ups? Nope, just passing. Rubin will draw. Manic Influence. That's a 5th land for the Murderous Cut.
A little slow is being generous, though.
There's a Temple. Does have a card in the graveyard. It's a Murderous Cut online. The question now is, does Steve want to cast this Murderous Cut on his turn or on Tom's turn? Here's the Rhino. There should have been a turn where he took 3 less because of the favorite Hoplite. I'm not sure if the judge got that. So. There's a cut.
And much like Stoneforge Mystic, the extra copies of Heliod's Pilgrim not as good as the first one.
Are you sure?
Definitely diminishing returns.
We're going to go cruising for a bruising. So hit 1 and 2 and 3 Ordeal of Thassa among the cards that Ross has found.
Wasn't even his whole graveyard.
It's surprising that it's good in this deck. It really is.
It's all permanents. How's that possible?
Ross trying to figure out how he's going to get these last points of damage through.
Yeah, he has this odd bottleneck on blue mana right now.
Has no deal. Thassa has Heliod's Pilgrim, Stratus Walk in hand. Defiant Strike 2. There's land. But there is a bit of a bottleneck, as you did mention. There's a Stratus Walk. Cantrippin, God's willing. 3 mana. There's Pilgrim. Gonna go searching. See what Tom wants here. Ordeal, Thassa. Tom in no danger of dying the next turn, but he does want to close things out here. There's
You don't
no attack
want
on 1.
you don't want to let Steve hang around. I mean, once we start talking about turn 6, turn 7, Steve's going to be bringing a lot more power to the table.
Steve with the Brahmas. There's a Courser. Take a look at the top card. Wingmate Rock. See the Windswept Teeth here. That's coming in. Steve will go up a little bit.
And that does allow him to get a second card in the graveyard, plus 3 mana for the Murderous Cut he just drew.
In there. Quick block. Tom trying to keep his life total high. Steve. Nothing yet with the Murderous Cut. Ross will draw. Battle-wise Hoplite.
A little surprised for Steve there to not use the Murderous Cut there while the shields were down on the last remaining creature that Tom has, because Tom making a chump block there is very curious, and to me makes it seem like he's on the plan where he's trying to win the game just with the Pilgrim that's already in play.
It's pretty telling. Tom's still struggling to get these last points of damage through. It was such a great start, but Rubin is making a bit of a comeback here.
Well, this is the least efficient draw that I've seen Tom have. I mean, he had the Treasure Cruise, which was good, but that was a card that was kind of stuck in his hand instead of being a deployment card, and now he's stuck with all these Helios Pilgrims in his hand. It's been a struggle for him to carve out efficiently. And now he's very much concerned about just being able to close things out here.
There's an ordeal. That's an ordeal. Attacks, triggers, beatdowns. Steve gonna sacrifice. The rock goes away. A land will come to play. There's a forest.
And I think that Tom's leftovers here are both God's Willing and Defiant Strike, which I think gives him the kill. No, excuse me, no, he's still one short.
Yep.
Sorry.
Courser is a net neutral.
Right.
Have interest in playing modern.
Hero's Downfall.
Please come sign up.
It's actually a good bad. Yep, there's Murderous Cut.
Yeah, seeing a Hero's Downfall here is so
Really bad news.
So bad for Tom.
God's Willing. Trigger. Bottom. I'd be surprised if he's Defiant Striking here. It looks like he will be.
He may not have anything else to do with his, with his mana this turn.
Yeah.
And he just may need to find help.
So 2, 3, 4 damage is going to come across. But seeing Hero's Downfall on the other side of the table is horrible news.
Yep.
Rubin's at 1. Top card. Glare of Heresy.
Also bad news.
Yep.
And Tom is on a two-turn clock over here.
There's Manic Influence. That's going to put Steve up to 2. You get to imagine he's going to cast Hero's Downfall now, yeah. He doesn't have to worry about this. The Rhino and the Courser, and now Brahmas. Removal spell on top of the deck. Ross going to draw a card. Oh,
Tom's that great at attacking, not so good at blocking.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if he can somehow work his way out of this. I thought this was a game he was going to win for sure. But all of a sudden,
His hand post Treasure Cruise was just so inefficient. He's still sitting on a bunch of these Helios Pilgrims. We're so used to Tom just casting everything that's in his hand so easily. But he just drew a very odd sequence of cards.
You know, this is where a card like Ordeal of Heliod has been really, really good for him, but I don't think we're in that territory right now. Now he's trying to figure out, how do I work my way out of this and get an extra turn? And can I beat the Glare Heresy? Also, you're attacking me for a lot of damage, sir.
Yep.
There's this. Trigger. Do we maybe go towards a Singing Bell Strike? Yeah, good beats. Nothing to search for.
That I have never seen.
That's a first.
All right, now I definitely don't like Tom's odds.
I don't love the situation. Yeah, pass the turn back. I don't see much of a reason for Steve not to cast this Glare Heresy. Top card, Temple of Silence. Somehow this got away from him. There's a Temple. Rubin's up to 3. Trigger. Take a look. Sylvan Caryat is going to go to the bottom. Top card now is a Courser. Not sure that he's going to need it, though. Ross with another copy of Heliod's Pilgrim. That's it.
Hoping that somehow Steve doesn't kill him this turn.
Yeah. And Steve is reaching for mana here.
Yeah, I mean, Steve can just make the pretty straightforward play of use a removal spell on your Hoplite.
Or your Pilgrim. I mean,
Yeah,
either
sure.
one's
Either
fine.
one's fine.
Turn him. That's going to do it. Steve Rubin going to win this match over Tom Ross, 2-0. And for Abzan mid-range, it slides by Blue White Heroic, Washington, D.C. champ of our Standard Open. We'll be battling against Andy Ferguson in the finals, as Ferguson was able to get it done again.
Got to be a disappointing conclusion of the tournament for Tom there, getting to